6:05 a.m. and the leftists, they are truly melting down over Trump's speech last night. They all claim that he's going to cancel elections because he said, quote, "Get out the vote just this time. You don't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. It'll be fixed. It'll be fine." Okay, so they are melting down over this. And what I want to do is break it down. He was speaking to approximately 25 million Christians that don't normally vote. And you're like, okay, wait a second. Christians that don't vote? Yes. He was speaking in Florida. Now, he was speaking to a group of possibly Amish type Christians who just don't get out the vote because they don't want to participate in the politics of it. And they're just normally not engaged in the political process, and they're like, leave me alone. I don't want to vote. I just want to worship my God and do my own thing. Okay, that's who he was talking to here. 25 million Christians that don't vote. And he says, quote, "It'll be fixed." And this is referring to the absolute state of despair our government is in. Okay, that's what he means. He vows to get rid of the rot, the government rot, the establishment. So in 2028, his mission will be complete. Okay, so the next election won't be such a dire situation where you don't have to go out and vote. You can. It's not like he's going to take that away. Okay, that's not what he meant by this. His call to action is not a statement about ending elections. This is so discernible for somebody with actual intellect and a brain. Trump is not ending our longstanding government. He's fighting against communism, fascism, Marxism. That's what he's doing. So let's take a listen to the entire clip because people are cutting this clip off at like second 25. This is a 27-second clip, and it's important because mainstream is cutting off this last couple of seconds here, which clarifies what he's saying. So let's take a listen. Here we go.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. And again, Christians, get out. And
so there you have it. He's not talking about ending elections. This is talking, he's talking and he's referring to the absolute state of despair that he's planning to fix and vowing to fix in 2028. So, you know, Christians, they're reluctant to participate in a political process that they don't believe in, so they typically don't go out and vote. He's saying, hey, go out and vote this last time. Okay, just this time. If you don't want to go out and vote next in the next 4 or after these 4 years, it'll be fine. You won't have to because things are going to be much better after 4 years. I'm going to get rid of the political rot by 2028. That's what he's talking about. And people are taking that out of context, like he's trying to cancel elections and install himself as like a dictator. Come on, folks. The guy is like in his 70s. I doubt he's going to be able to make it through another term in 2028 or like an extended term. I doubt he would want to. Okay, he's old. He's not going to be a dictator for the next 20 years. He's an old man. He's at the 4 years and he's going to be done. All right, I do want to talk to you about a few things happening in the news. First, we got to watch these white women get shamed on this really cringy video. It's called, this is a Zoom call, and over 160,000 white women were on the Zoom call, which is hilarious. And I think these 160,000 women, these are the only people voting for Kamala Harris. These are the Kamala Harris voters right here in this Zoom call. That's it. These white women are on a Zoom call, and the Zoom call is called White Women Answer the Call. And it's a Kamala Harris event. It's some sort of political campaign event. And then we're going to talk about the lady who organized this Zoom call, because you look up the lady on TikTok and ew, just gross. She talks in like rhyme and riddles and like she does this thing where she's very condescending and she speaks to everybody like they're a child. She was a teacher, but then she left her day job as a teacher to go be an influencer, a leftist influencer on TikTok. And it's quite interesting to listen to these clips. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, New York, their latest woke equity policy is going to destroy girls' sports. They're going to force boys onto these school teams where girls are on these school teams. So they're going to allow boys to try out for the girls' volleyball team and play in girls' volleyball. So they're destroying girls' sports. So it's unclear why many on the left get all upset when mentioning that Kamala Harris is a DEI pick at best, especially because they're the ones beholden to this ideology. I thought you guys were all for DEI picks. Why do you guys get upset when I say that Kamala Harris is a DEI pick? You guys are the ones that are all totally for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Nonetheless, that's why, that's what she is. And that's exactly why these 160,000 plus women gathered on a Zoom call to check their white privilege. Yes, they're checking their white privilege. This is absolutely incredible, this Zoom call. And they are checking their blind spots and they're trying to learn and unlearn. So I'm just going to play this Zoom call for you. Little flavor. Here's a little taste for you. Here we go.
As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized, and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change. As white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn. So do check your blind spots. You are responsible for your algorithm, believe it or not. Intentionally seek out and share content from BIPOC creators, activists, thought leaders. They should be the leaders of conversations about race, injustice, and equity. So just whatever you do, don't stay silent on issues of injustice. Big changes can start with just one person who's brave enough to speak up. But do know when to walk away from an argument for your own sake. There are some strangers you'll meet online who are persuadable, but some are not. I know when you see some headlines or someone makes a wild claim, it can be really shocking. But do give yourself permission to pause, take a breath, and do a Google search and ask questions. And
I'm sorry I had to do that to you this morning, but okay. So in there, she says, quote, if you find yourself talking over or speaking for a BIPOC individual, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat and instead we can put our listening ears on. Oh, the fact that she talks to you like you're 4 years old is just, this is a group of women, 160,000 women on this Zoom call, and she's talking to them like they're a bunch of 5-year-olds. Okay, I can't stand these types of women. These are the crazy cat ladies that Janie Vance was talking about. They're insane. So she says, quote, if you find yourself speaking over or speaking for a BIPOC, so racist. You're probably wondering, what is a BIPOC? So a BIPOC is an acronym and it stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. Okay. So according to Postmillennial, as white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, God forbid you correct somebody, just take a beat and instead we can put our listening ears on. This is Ariel Fodor, one of the women. She was leading the training here. We're going to get to her and who she is in just a second. But in other words, because Harris has an arbitrary skin color and the people attending this call also have an arbitrary skin color, those with the latter must never call out Vice President Harris on anything she does, no matter how foolish it is. This is what she's saying. She's saying, hey, don't speak over, don't criticize, never correct them. So even if she becomes president, because she's a BIPOC individual, you can't call out any of her policies, if they're wrong or if they're foolish. You can't be critical of Kamala Harris because she has a skin color that is different to that of white. What? One of the problems with that is how our government is intended to work, okay? It doesn't matter the skin color of the vice president, especially considering no one elected her, because she is to answer to the people and not the other way around. She doesn't answer, she's supposed to answer to the people. We're not supposed to answer to her. Okay, that's not how government works. You're supposed to be critical of your government. That's how it works, because they answer to you. They're working for you. Man, just because she's a DEI pick does not mean she gets special treatment. Okay, it's not the other way around. You don't work for her. She works for you. She's elected, but no one elected her, especially because no one elected her. She's not supposed to be, she's not even a representative. She was on the ticket. She was elected alongside President Joe Biden. Anyway, so she's supposed to listen to what we have to say. And the fact that these people claim that insignificant birth traits, like your skin color, have something to do with this is precisely why they have created DEI picks, which is why I don't understand why they get all upset when I say that Kamala Harris is nothing more than a DEI pick. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you can't handle criticism as a government official, then you need to get out of government. Get out of the kitchen. If you can't handle the heat. Can these people get any more pathetic? The Zoom call, it was dubbed the White Women Answer the Call. And like I said, over 160,000 women were there, and they were trying to learn how to support the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, which included celebrity appearances. There was all kinds of American-hating celebrities. Former soccer player Megan Rapinoe was there, singer-songwriter Pink, actress Connie Britton. Connie Britton actually attended the call, and during the training, she was talking about how they should all be called Karens for Kamala. Yeah, you got that right there, Connie. But here's a quote. As white people, and this is Ariel Fodor, as white people, we have a lot to learn and unlearn. So do check your blind spots. How can you unlearn something that's already been learned? I don't even know what the hell that means. It appears that they can get even more pathetic because, get this, as one should never underestimate the sheer stupidity of these mentally incompetent individuals. And I say that not as an opinion. This is mentally incompetent people. And they never mention Kamala Harris's competence or lack thereof. They never talk about her credentials. Then they start to talk about, in this Zoom call, quote, you're responsible for your algorithm, believe it or not, intentionally seek out and share content from BIPOC creators. I hate that term, BIPOC. Why? It's so racist. Like, are they robots? BIPOC. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Intentionally seek out and share content from BIPOC creators, activists, and leaders. They should be the leaders of conversation about race, injustice, and equity. So just do whatever, just whatever you do, don't stay silent on these issues of injustice. So this is crazy. These people they're bigots. It's really, really bizarre. And considering, they think that these BIPOC women are unable to succeed in life. So Kamala Harris needs the help of liberal white women. Otherwise, they can't do anything. Okay, that's what they're saying there. And it's the most bigoted thing to paint an entire race as racist. They're painting white people as racist. That is the most bigoted thing I've ever heard in my life. Not to mention, they're calling these individuals BIPOCs, and then they're also saying, hey, BIPOC women like Kamala Harris are unable to succeed in life without the help of us. And I don't think that there's anything more racist than that. So this was like a weird cringe fest. Coming up on the other side of this break, I'm going to talk about the woman who organized it, because she left her day job. You look her up on TikTok and you're like, wow, this is truly the only type of person who is going to be voting for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. It's these 160,000 women. That's probably about it. But she's on TikTok. She left her day job as a teacher, and she makes these cringe videos all day, and she pretends she knows things. And I'm going to be right back. This is Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Stick around. Thanks so much for joining me. You can always find me on YouTube, Conservative Cat Show. Just type it in your search bar. Before we took the break, we were talking a little bit about white women. Yes, white women. They were on this weird Zoom call. They were talking about Kamala Harris and how they have to check their white privilege and they can't be critical of Kamala Harris because she's a BIPOC. What's a BIPOC? Well, a BIPOC is somebody who is a different Black, indigenous people of color. That's what the acronym stands for. Weird. So I wanted to talk about the woman who started it all. Okay, because these women are really what's wrong with America. And any problem in today's society, you could point to these type of women. They're racist, they're rabid, and they're radical. Okay, so she gets on this Zoom call. She organizes this Zoom call. There were 160,000 white women on it. And she was a teacher, the woman who organized this at one point. And she quit her day job and she decided to start making these really cringe videos. Here's a little bit from the Zoom call. Take a listen.
Ariel Fodar, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzle, to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good. No matter who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I had to do that to you. Mrs. Frazzle. So she intentionally talks in this like weird kid speak, and she makes all sorts of videos where she berates internet citizens and discusses things with no significance, which makes this Karen Zoom call so much more sense. It makes so much more sense that this Karen Zoom call happened because we're dealing with a very objectively immature person. Behold, the expert on all things white privilege and politics. This woman, her name is Mrs. Frazzle. At least that's what the kids call her. I want to play this for you, and you can watch it on YouTube if you're curious of what this woman looks like and, you know, her social media account. But she's a weird white woman and she goes viral after this Zoom call. She's a teacher turned influencer whose TikTok account is even more cringe than that Zoom call incident where she says, God forbid you talk over somebody who has a different skin color than you. Gosh, could you imagine the horror? So on her TikTok, she covers an array of topics in her teacher voice, and she does this thing. It's called gentle parenting, whatever that means. But she's got 1.3 million followers. This is so cringy. I'm going to share this with you. Let's take a listen to her. Here we go. Hang on. So here we go. This is where she starts talking about gentle parenting, that uncle at your family Thanksgiving or something. So here we go.
Oh no, catch a bubble, Uncle Norm. I think you said an inside thought out loud. Huh. Is him wearing nail polish a big problem or a little problem? Oh no, does it hurt your body or your heart? Oh my goodness, is he putting the nail polish on your hand? Is he saying, I have nail polish and you don't? Oh, macaroni cheese, everybody freeze. Uncle Don, no one wants to take your gas stove. No, friend, they just want you to know about your gas stove. Do you see how it says natural gas? They just want to put a little warning sticker on your stove so that you know that it actually means methane gas. Yeah, the one making the world warmer.
So she's gentle parenting this uncle, hypothetical Uncle Norm who might be at your Thanksgiving table, and he takes issue with your little boy wanting to wear nail polish, right? And she gentle parents and says, Uncle Norm, now is he hurting you by putting on nail polish? And then she gentle parents the, other guy who's upset about them wanting to actually ban your gas stove. That is actually what the Biden-Harris campaign wanted, or Biden-Harris administration wanted to do. They wanted to ban your gas stove. We know in normal, they have ordinances or have talked about making ordinances to where, Uptown 2.0 or whatever normal project that they're up to, they want to make it to where, and they've made it to where you cannot have anything, no natural gas, okay, which is, if you look at this California lawsuit, you're not really supposed to regulate utilities in that way, normal. But the Biden-Harris administration, they did want to ban your gas stove. So she was gentle parenting someone, and she was like, no, they just wanted to put a sticker on it to let you know that it was methane gas, which isn't true. So now she's gentle parenting Harris Butker. You guys remember his speech where he talks about women and how mothers play a very important role in society. Let's take a listen.
Listen, how did you feel about your speech? Oh, I thought it was unique, just like everyone's family is unique and everyone's choices are unique. Catch a bubble. It is important to be kind, even when someone thinks differently than you do. Telling the girls that they've been told diabolical lies on their special day is not kind, friend. Staying in your lane means minding your own beeswax and focusing on what you're doing. Did someone need help kicking? Okay, so Harrison needs to worry about Harrison. Leave Isabel alone. How would you feel if someone always decided what you should do? Okay, well, it's important that the girls decide for themselves, just like you want to decide for yourself, because everyone's the boss of their own body, even the girls. Wow, that was a super inside thought. Let's hold that in our brain forever and ever. Got it? Oh, I'm glad you're not afraid of being disliked. Today was a party to celebrate your friends and their accomplishments, but let's leave Taylor out of it.
Okay, so I think you get the point. This woman is completely unhinged. Who watches this baloney? I don't know who watches this stuff. It's got to be all of her followers. They've got to be rage watchers. People like me who watch it and we're like, oh yeah, this just enrages me. I have absolutely no idea who would want to watch this deranged content unironically. Does she think it makes her look smart? Because acting in this very condescending way, it just comes off as if you're an arrogant, naive, crazy lady. Okay. No one who leans politically conservative will be convinced by this nonsense. Does she really think that her schizophrenic skit is going to change people's viewpoints on abortion? And it's not surprising that these are the sort of people who blindly just back Kamala Harris. It's truly really impressive that I have found someone dumber than Kamala Harris, dumber than our current vice president. But no worries. I have a pharmaceutical drug that might help these women. It's called a brain. We're going to get to this clip, and it's a commercial for this pharmaceutical drug. It's called a brain. Nobody should try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. For more information, you can visit tryabrain.com. I'm going to play the commercial for a brain, which is a pharmaceutical drug for these women, here next on Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. Come back after the break. Jesse, he's listening. Hey, you can always text me or message me on YouTube. Jesse's listening and he's like, Kat, if you ever torture me with that Mr. Rogers for libs ever again, my ears are bleeding. I will not torture you with the white woman, the Mr. Rogers for liberals. This woman was really, really weird. And these are the cat ladies that JD Vance talks about. And they're not represented of America. These women are very, very racist. To call somebody a BIPOC because they have a different skin color than you, it's almost like dehumanizing. BIPOC, it sounds like a cyborg, like they're not even human. And these women live in the fancy houses, and they're just extremely racist individuals. But I have a solution for these women voting for Kamala Harris. This is a pharmaceutical drug that I think would actually help them.
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interests at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day. When my disregard for 3rd grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only no-brainer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
For more information, visit tryabrain.com.
Individual results may vary. Yes, so that's the pharmaceutical drug I highly recommend these women take. Hey, if you start to question 3rd grade biology, if you're not sure what the difference between a woman and a man are, the differences between them are, I recommend a brain. If you tend to listen to celebrities like Megan Rapinoe and get lectured by celebrities about your carbon footprint, even though they're traveling on 3 private jets a day, then you might need a brain. So for all of human history, and I want to get to this story today, society has had a system where we categorize sports into men's sports and women's sports, pretty much for all of human history. However, one day progressives, they woke up one morning, they woke up and they decided that trans rights are more important than women's rights. And subsequently, New York has now dedicated, and they're dedicating themselves to destroying girls' sports. Yes, New York is finalizing policy changes that would mandate high school boys be allowed to compete against girls for spots on sports teams. New York may order, if this policy change goes through, which, come on, it's New York, it probably will, they're going to order high schools to let boys play girls-only sports like volleyball. And they're going to allow boys to compete against girls for spots on these teams under this proposed policy change that has alarmed some school administrators. So here it is. Here's the story. The proposal by the state education department would break down gender distinctions for any sports that don't offer separate teams for both boys and girls. So it wouldn't have an impact on soccer, lacrosse, track, because those are 2 sex sports teams. Now, this is going to have an effect on things like hockey, girls field hockey, volleyball. Okay, if a volleyball team at the school doesn't have a boys team, then the boys can, try out for the volleyball team. And this is a girls only sport, right? And the solution would be to create a boys team for volleyball, not to allow boys to try out for spots on the volleyball team that are intended for girls. So they're going to scramble beside girls in flag football, which is a growing sport for high school girls. And it started about a couple years ago, this sport, flag football, because it's safer than football. Okay. Now, women, and girls, they might like the idea of playing football. However, the tackling, it could hurt girls. So this is kind of an altered version of football, flag football. And this was specifically designed so girls could play flag football and play football, the game, without getting themselves injured. Instead of tackling, you pull the flag and that serves as the tackle. Now they're going to allow men to be in that sport. And it kind of defeats the purpose of flag football, right? So nothing says inclusion like trumping the rights of girls everywhere and excluding them from rights they used to be born with. Okay, it's your right to not play with a boy. If you don't, and it's really dangerous to play with boys on these teams. According to Progressive, this makes them the compassionate ones, where they, just say screw you to the girls, and they allow boys to try out for spots on girls' teams. So we can be certain there's going to be no trans men, so trans boys, where, women pretending to be boys, they try out to be on the guys' team, because that never happens. Usually it's the other way around. It's men pretending to be girls trying to get on girls' teams. Why do you think that is? So the idea floated in May to bring greater equity to high school sports. So this is a policy change they've been floating around since May of this year, but administrators fear that it could do just the opposite if boys start to replace girls on teams. They also worry that welcoming larger boy players onto the field could endanger the safety of girls, exposing them to injuries and their school districts to lawsuits if the girls get hurt. How many people have to get hurt before the state of New York realizes how foolish this policy truly is? I know of an instance where a high school player had her teeth actually knocked out and was severely injured by a male who was allowed to compete against girls. How is that equitable? You just want girls to get beat up on the field? The proposal had nothing to do with transgender students. This is actually New York's anti-discrimination laws. They already enable transgender athletes to play on a chosen team. But this is got nothing to do with transgenders. This is about changing policy to address gender discriminate or gender like distinctions. They don't want there to be any kind of gender distinction. So under current regulations, high school girls who want to play football, ice hockey, and another boy sport must get review panel's approval. Okay, so currently that's what these regulations are all about. A girl, if she wants to play on a men's football team or a boys football team, she has to go before a review panel and she has to pass all kinds of tests. So a student at Riverdale Country School in the Bronx complained to the education department in 2022 that she was forced to clear hurdles that boys don't face in order to play football, including passing a fitness test, undergoing a puberty exam, and writing an essay to justify her interest. Those requirements are there to protect her. She doesn't understand she's a child, right? Any boy could make the squad at her private school without those steps. She had to go through all these steps. Why? Because they're there to protect her. She's going to get hurt. She's a girl. These are bigger boys. So Shira is her name. The student, Mendelzes, is her full name, and she ultimately won a spot on the to play football for Riverdale. And she said that it's unfair and demeaning, these requirements, right? So after this complaint, the state decided to revisit those rules, and then they held meetings with various groups of students and parents, and they've decided to, nix boys versus girls sports entirely and just allow just co-ed sports, I guess. So this is one girl playing a contact sport against guys, and this is very, very dangerous. That's why those safety requirements are there. Not everyone can safely play against the opposite gender. Those requirements are there to protect you. Hence a player getting her teeth knocked out. Like I said, this happens. Me personally, right? This happened to me just in gym class. A boy, we were playing some sort of sport, and he throws the ball. It was a yoga ball, and I go down. I broke my wrist and my ankle. And I mean, that's what happens in gym class with boys. Could you imagine playing an actual contact sport with a boy? So I've got to take a quick break. I'm going to wrap this up, but it looks like New York is going to allow men and boys and girls to play on all the same teams. And they're going to allow boys to try out for girls' spots. I mean, obviously, boys are going to be better at volleyball. They're taller. If you're taller than girls, right, you're going to be better at the sport. So what? Are they just going to eliminate girls being on the volleyball team at these high schools? I don't know. All right, I'll be right back. This is Conservative Cat. Hey, this is Conservative Cat Cities 92.9. You know, we're going to get to the top of the hour, and we got to talk about the local SWAT team in Butler County. They share some alarming details about the Trump assassination attempt. They weren't even in communication with the Secret Service. That's scary. So we're going to talk about that. Elon Musk completely destroys Gavin Newsom in his latest attempt to stifle free speech. So we're going to get to that. And plus, Donald Trump, he is facing a lot of criticism for something he said in a speech the other day. So I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Find me on YouTube, The Conservative Cat Show. Type it in your search bar. I'll be back. Hey, good morning. This is Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9 News and Talk of Bloomington Normal. I so do appreciate you tuning in, and you can always find me on YouTube. That's the Conservative Cat Show. We've got so much to get to today. Kamala Harris and D's nuts. So Elon Musk completely destroys Gavin Newsom with the D's nuts joke, and I think it's hilarious. Gavin Newsom, he's trying to go after free speech again. This is his latest attempt. So we're gonna talk about Elon Musk's return fire. His reply to Gavin Newsom. So we'll get to that here in just a second, but I do want to start with the local SWAT team sharing some very alarming details from the Trump assassination attempt. So someone attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. We know this, and we still don't have any answers. If the guy tried to assassinate a Democrat, we would probably know every aspect of the assassin or the would-be assassin's life. Since it was a white dude who attempted to kill Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump was a Democrat, we would know everything about this would-be assassin, okay, if Donald Trump was a Democrat. But Trump's a Republican, not to mention he's Hitler, right? So as to the motive behind the assassination attempt or how it even was allowed to happen, because now we are hearing reports that Secret Service was aware that the shooter was up on the roof or was getting up onto the roof. Like they were aware of the shooter 90 minutes before he got up on the roof and started firing. Okay, 90 minutes. That's a long time to be aware of a suspicious individual. So they were made aware that he was a threat for 90 minutes. They knew of this. So I don't even know how it was allowed to happen. Your guess is good as mine. It seems intentional. I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, there was so much incompetence. You really can't call it incompetence. Somebody had to have been working on the inside. Will we ever figure it out? I don't know. Probably as with the JFK assassination, we won't figure that out for another 60 years or so. Hopefully sooner. But if you're hoping to have any more unanswered questions, you might not want to watch this video from the local SWAT team. Okay, the local SWAT team that was assigned that day. First, I do want to Google really quick. Let's Google. I'm just going to Google when the attempted assassination was. Oh, wait, here I am attempting to Google the Trump assassination, and I've run into a roadblock because I can't even Google it anymore because it doesn't even exist. I try to type in Trump attempted assassination, and Google will not auto-populate the search or the searches for the Trump assassination. So Google is trying to make this disappear, the attempted assassination disappear. They're trying to rewrite history. ABC News, they interviewed the local SWAT team there in Beaver County. Beaver, I think it's Butler. I'll look that up. It's a rural county in Pennsylvania. And the SWAT team was assigned to work that day and work alongside Secret Service. And they were supposed to, everybody that involved, Secret Service, SWAT, they were assigned to protect the former president. I don't know if you know this, but protecting the current president as well as his opponent, it's a rather important job. Wars have been started over leaders getting assassinated in public, by the way. I think it was like World War I. I got to check my history. I'm not a big history buff, but wars have been started over leaders getting assassinated in public. Okay, so it's a very important job to protect the president and to protect his opponent. And protect former presidents. You would think the SWAT team running the show would be in communication with the team being brought in to help with such an important task, right? Perhaps to go over situations like what to do when the local SWAT team, identifies a suspicious-looking individual on an unguarded roof. What should we do? Nope. They were not in communication at all with the Secret Service. They were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers when they arrived. That never happened. a face-to-face briefing. So I think it's probably a pivotal moment where, you start to think things were wrong because, and went wrong because there was no communication with the Secret Service. It almost feels deliberate. It really does. It almost feels intentional because it's almost like they did not want to communicate with the SWAT team, the Secret Service. Like they refused. So I'm going to play this clip. This is an ABC interview with the local SWAT team. Here we go.
An ABC News exclusive, our senior investigative correspondent Aaron Kotursky speaking with the local Pennsylvania SWAT team on duty during Trump's rally in Butler when a gunman tried to take Trump's life. And Aaron joins me now. And Aaron, you interviewed the local SWAT team tasked with supporting the Secret Service at that rally in Butler 2 weeks ago. They played some key roles that day, along with the DA and chief of detectives overseeing the team. I want to play what the lead sharpshooter of the team told you. Let's listen.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
Aaron, first, can you tell us where that SWAT team was located, and give us a sense of your conversation with these local law enforcement officials and what they're saying about the communication breakdown? This is even as the gunman was identified as suspicious ahead of the shooting.
This is the SWAT team from Beaver County, Pennsylvania, Martha, that identified Thomas Matthew Crooks as suspicious. They were located on the second floor of the building that Crooks eventually used as his perch. And that's where they were assigned to be. From that vantage point, they could see into the crowd, but they could not see Crooks on the roof. And they say it wasn't a matter of the roof being sloped or the weather being too hot for them to be up there. They were assigned to and told by the Secret Service to be on the second floor. Once they tried to identify him as suspicious, they sounded the alarm. They sent text messages with a description. They took pictures of him. They tried to track his movements, but none of that ever reached the decision makers on the ground, Martha, because they say there was no communication with the Secret Service. And from the get-go, they say it was evident that they were somewhat isolated in their position.
Wow. Okay. So there you have it. They were not in communication with the Secret Service at all until after the shooting, and by then it was too late. Somebody died, folks. We know somebody died, and look, I don't want to jump to conspiracy theories, and I wish they would give us a reason to not jump to this conspiracy theory, and it's really not a conspiracy theory at this point anymore. It's the only logical reason why this would happen. Were they receiving these communications, or did they purposefully not want to be in communication with the local SWAT team? And Secret Service Director, she resigned, Kimberly Cheadle, right? But not because of her colossal screw up. It was because she made the White House look bad during a hearing. Just because she resigned, it doesn't put an end to these questions that we all still have. Why did the SWAT team not get their face-to-face briefing before the actual rally? Look, the literal best case scenario is that these agents assigned to protect the former president and the current presidential candidate were mind-numbingly incompetent. Whether or not the incompetence was fueled by the agency's attitude towards Trump. Again, I don't want to jump to these conspiracies, but were their attitudes, were their political biases, or the people who are the heads of these agencies, the Secret Service Agency, really at the helm of the Secret Service Agency, it's Mayorkas, the DHS, and we know how much the DHS hates Donald Trump. Is that what fueled this incompetence? Their attitudes towards Trump. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk about the immaculate, it's a beautiful vibe when you kick off the week, right? We're in Tuesday, And, sometimes the news gets crazy and you miss some of these things, these cultural commentaries. And this is a solid D's Nuts joke. Now, I don't know. I'm 25. I'm 25. And I love a good D's Nuts joke. I grew up with him, and Elon Musk, thanks to Elon Musk and at the expense of Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris this week, Elon Musk is providing us it's a solid D's Nuts joke. So I'm going to be right back. We're going to talk about the tweet that Gavin Newsom had out there, the X that he dropped, and then the response from Elon Musk. It's quite beautiful. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. We'll be right back. Woo! Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate you being here this morning. This is the Conservative Cat Show. And, I love starting out my week with a good D's nuts joke. D's nuts. I love the joke. I'm a sucker for a solid D's nuts joke. So thanks to Elon Musk and at the expense of Gavin Newsom, we have a pretty solid D's nuts joke. So before I play the clip here of the parody Kamala Harris campaign ad, Gavin Newsom, he shares a link of this article, this NBC News article. Okay, so he drops in X, the California governor believing misinformation spread by mainstream media. Okay, and that's why he's been introduced now to these nuts. Gavin Newsom, he is believing the misinformation, and he's fallen victim to the misinformation spread by NBC. So the link that he tweets, Gavin Newsom, is to an NBC article where it took not one, not two, but three journalismers to write about Elon sharing a post on X. Yes, quite literally, when you look at the article, the NBC News article that Gavin Newsom shared, it looks as if there are three authors and three writers in this article to talk about something that Elon Musk tweeted. Okay, so he shared a post on X, Twitter, whatever, and in just the headline and the lead, there are two pieces of misinformation here that NBC just throws out there. They identify the video as a campaign ad, and they say the original video isn't, or the origin of the video is not yet known. Okay, so here's the video. And a quick note, please remember, the only liar in all of politics is Donald Trump, obviously, and according to A, liars, and B, a campaign entirely centered around lying about a think tank's 900-plus page policy document. Okay, so remember that these people, they have centered their campaign, Kamala Harris's campaign, around this Project 25. Ooh, the boogeyman, Project 25 is going to come after you. And they've centered their campaign around, hey, Donald Trump is a liar. They have nothing else to stand on. So, like I said, Gavin Newsom, he shared, had Gavin actually shared the link, he didn't even share the entire link. He shared the screenshot of the headline. Okay, so he just screenshotted the headline of the NBC News article. And this wasn't a campaign ad. Had he shared the link, this would have all given it away, because in the article itself, the NBC News journalismers, the journalists, they implied, knowing most people are just going to read the headline and not the article, they implied that this was, in fact, a campaign ad. It's not a campaign ad. Elon retweeted a parody Kamala Harris campaign ad. Okay, this is a parody. This is a joke. And NBC News claimed on X, Twitter, that this was an actual campaign ad, and that in their headline. But if you actually click into the article, NBC News, they'll tell you that this is an actual parody. So I'm going to play the parody really quick. Let's take a listen.
Candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility of debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean, Joe Biden.
Okay, so, and like I said, folks, if you are watching on YouTube, I can show you the thread. Okay, so Gavin Newsom, he says manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal. And then he goes on and he's, shares the headline of NBC, and the headline of NBC is Elon Musk retweets altered Kamala Harris campaign ad. In the video, Harris seemingly exposes herself as an incompetent candidate for president. The origin of the video is not yet known. There's so much wrong with that headline and the lead to the article. It's so misleading. It's misinformation NBC is pushing out there. And Gavin Newsom says, I'm going to be signing a bill in a matter of weeks to make sure that videos like this ad are illegal. Okay, so Elon Musk, he retweeted the video and he said, look, I checked with the renowned world authority, Professor Sugan D's Nuts, and he said that parody is legal in the United States and in America. So parody, folks, is a noun and that implies an imitation of style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comedic effect, okay, for comic effect. X/Twitter, didn't have to label it misleading because it says parody in the post in capital letters. Okay, so in the post where the video originates, this parody campaign video, it actually says parody in capital letters just to make sure you don't miss it. And we know where it came from. It came from a YouTuber who's known as Mr. Reagan. And it says so in his bio, right? That he's a parody account and that he shares comedic content, and we know where the video came from. So NBC false, okay. We know the origin of the video. Number two, this is not a campaign ad. This is not an altered campaign ad. It's called a parody video, and it's meant to be funny. So Gavin Newsom claims he's rushing through legislation to outlaw free speech in California. Elon responded with, of course, an appeal to authority, quoting a well-renowned expert in the First Amendment, Sugan these nuts. Sugan. Oh my gosh. So Professor Sugan these nuts. Gavin hasn't responded yet because his mouth is full. All right, I'm going to have to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat. We'll be right back. A lot of people are outraged about this speech I'm going to get to Donald Trump. They think that he's going to be a dictator and get rid of elections because he said, quote, you'll just vote this last time or this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. It's going to be fixed. Wilmington normal. And you can find me on YouTube. That's Conservative Cat Show. Go ahead and find me on YouTube. They're scared. Here are the most outrageous leftist attacks against JD Vance. We're going to get to those here in just a little bit. Yes, after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, I was informed that we were supposed to be turning down the heat on political rhetoric. Okay, so after this assassination had happened, the attempted assassination, we were all told by mainstream, hey, it's time to tone down the political rhetoric. Okay, are we not doing that now? Nope, we aren't, because now that JD Vance has been named the vice presidential candidate, leftists have turned themselves into this weird, vile, disgusting rhetoric towards him. And a lot of people are, saying really nasty things, even about his wife being a brown woman. So the left, they're racist. We know this. And lefty accounts went after his wife for being a brown woman who's married to a conservative. She's not brown because she's married to a conservative. That's what they're saying about JD Vance. Quote, JD Vance is married to a brown lady. I'm side-eyeing you, Usha. So Usha is his wife. And they're saying that she isn't an actual brown woman. Because she married a white guy or a conservative, which is just bizarre and racist. So we're going to get to all of the leftist attacks. Now, the left is truly melting down over Trump's speech the other night. They claim that he wants to cancel elections because he said, get out the vote just this time. Okay, that's a quote from Donald Trump, and they're taking that out of context. He said, quote, you won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, it'll be fixed. It'll be fine. I love you, Christians. And he was speaking to approximately 25 million Christians that don't vote. You're talking, you're Amish. A lot of the times, even Catholic people don't vote. Certain people in certain denominations, they don't vote because they're sick and tired of the political process. They don't want to engage in the political process because they don't think it works. And they think it's evil. So they don't really want to engage in the process at all. So let's break it down. He was talking to Christians, think Amish, people who don't want to participate in the political society or even really in society because it's gone to hell, right? And he was talking to these Christians that don't vote. He says, quote, it'll be fixed. When he says it'll be fixed, he's referring to the state of despair our government is in. He's vowed to get rid of the political rot, so that in 2028, his mission will have been complete. Okay, so that's what he's saying here. He says it'll be fixed by 2028, and you won't have to go out the next election cycle because we won't be in such a dire situation where you have to come out to vote. So this call to action is not a statement about ending elections. Okay, this is easily discernible for people with intellect. Okay, so people with intellect can understand that this is not a call to end elections, but rather it's just him talking about, hey, you have to get out the vote now because we have to end communism, fascism, Marxism. Okay, Trump is not ending our longstanding government. What he is fighting against are communists, fascists, and Marxists, the deep state. Okay, so he's not calling for an end to an elections, and anybody with intellect can discern what he's saying here. Okay, he's not saying, oh, in 4 more years you won't have to vote because I'm going to be a dictator. That's not what he's saying. No, in 4 more years you won't have to get out to vote because we won't be in such a dire situation where I'm begging you to get out and vote, Christians. Okay, so I want to talk about JD Vance. I thought we were supposed to turn down the temperature, tone down the rhetoric, right? But here they are, these lefty accounts who have gone after JD Vance's wife. So here it is, a leftist. She says, dear Indian American sister, Usha Vance, you as a brown South Asian woman and child of immigrants would be better off in Kamala Harris's America than your husband, JD Vance, and his bros America. So that's a tweet from a lefty going after JD Vance's wife. saying that her husband's America or him, being on the ticket with Donald Trump is, not good for her, being that she's a brown woman and a child of immigrants. Another lefty says, JD Vance is married to a brown lady. I'm side-eyeing you, Usha. I'm upset with you, Usha, because you married a white man. Another one, does Usha Vance realize that conservatives fought to ban miscegenation? I don't know what that is. And it was liberals who battled to ensure brown Indian women could marry a white guy. So they're going after her and JD Vance miscegenation. I think it's like I'll have to look that up. I think it's like a interracial couples or whatever. I guess it was like they wanted to ban like interracial couples, which just isn't true. Conservatives, I don't think, ever tried to do that, or Republicans. If anything, it was probably the Democrats, right? But this person here is saying that liberals battled to ensure that white or brown Indian American can marry white people. So another one, this is from another lefty account. Who is Usha Vance, the wife of JD Vance? Wonder whether the couple will survive his MAGA-isms versus her liberalism versus her liberalism. Wonder whether MAGA realized he married the daughter of immigrants, a brown girl. Just extremely racist. All of these, I could keep going. As much as you hate identity politics, you don't hate it enough. And let's not pretend the message isn't clear. If you aren't a white person, you must be aligned with the left. Okay, the left demands that if you are not white, you have to be for them. They say the same things about women, right? And if you don't align with the left and you're a woman, then they say that you're not a woman. And then if you don't align with the left and you're not white, then you're not, like they say, oh, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, right? We know Joe Biden said that. This is so ridiculous. You're reducing people to their skin color, and while racist, it's so acceptable. This is acceptable if you have a D by your name, which doesn't make any sense to me. Believe it or not, this is the America we live in. Attacking JD Vance's wife is pretty awful. And this is just, they're saying such terrible things about JD Vance. So I'm going to be right back. We're going to walk you through a little bit more of this. They also went as far as to say that there's this rumor circulating on the internet that Vance had sex with a couch, which is really bizarre. This is not even, I mean, the left comes up with such crazy things. I loved Hillbilly Elegy. If you really want to know who JD Vance is, he's got a book out there. He's even got a movie. And I watched the movie, and I don't know what they're talking about here with the sex on the couch, but I didn't miss it because it's not in the book and it's not in the movie. It's not a thing that happened, him having a sex with this couch. It's not a thing that JD Vance wrote. The fact checkers have come out to make their presence known, but the screeching leftist harpies don't care. Neither did Stephen Colbert or John Oliver, but that's okay. I mean, people on the right think Michelle Obama is a man. It's not like a Yahoo, Newsweek, PolitiFact, and Snopes and all these other fact checkers have run to the former First Lady's defense. Oh, wait, they did. These are conspiracy theories that JD Vance had sex with a couch. And it's weird. I don't know why they came out with that, but I'm going to get to more of it and I'm going to explain it further why they're saying that here next on Conservative Cat. You're listening to Cities 92.9. Hey, good morning. I so do appreciate it. Conservative Cat, thanks for being here. You can find me on YouTube. That's the Conservative Cat Show. Type it in your search bar. Now, I was telling you about Hillbilly LG, and I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't remember. I was like, what is this weird rumor about JD Vance having sex with a couch? And I was like, that wasn't in the movie. I recommend you go watch the movie if you want to know anything about JD Vance. It's truly it's a heartwarming story about a boy who grew up poor and wound up becoming vice president, right? Ultimately, he became vice president or is going to become vice president. No, I didn't miss it in the book. He didn't have sex with a couch in the film. But despite the fact checkers, making their presence known. So the fact checkers, AP, have fact checked this and they have proved that this is, a rumor. This is fake. But they've deleted some of the fact checkers. So AP, the Associated Press, released a fact check on the claim with an unusually blunt headline. No, JD Vance did not have sex with a couch. So they came out and they, this is a baseless rumor about the GOP vice presidential pick. The Ohio senator, these are false claims. Now, he hasn't come out and said they're false because he doesn't really have to, okay? But they've deleted their fact check, AP. So they're not really running to the defense of JD Vance. And I think that that they put out a fact check, but then they deleted it. So they're not really running to the defense of JD Vance like they do for the First Lady, Michelle Obama. We all think that she's a man, right? And Yahoo, Newsweek, PolitiFact, Snopes, all these fact checkers, they run to her defense and they don't delete their fact checks, okay? So AP actually deleted their fact check about JD Vance sleeping with the couch, even though these are totally baseless claims. These are really weird conspiracy theories cooked up by the left. And even JB Pritzker got in on it, okay? So he was on NBC or ABC, and he was talking, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says the electorate is energized since Vice President Kamala Harris launched her presidential campaign. And then he says this, he goes, the things they stand for, Donald Trump, of course, is afraid of windmills. And as we know, and as you know, he talks about all kinds of crazy stuff. And then he says, as for his running mate, you've probably heard this. And, he's getting known for his obsession with couches. So J.B. Pritzker is trying to humiliate J.D. Vance with this weird couch rumor. Even though, like I said, completely baseless. It's not in the movie. It's something that somebody created on the internet, a rumor. And then Pritzker goes on and he goes, and he seems like somebody who's hiding his views on, he has an obsession with couches and somebody who's hiding his views on a woman's right to choose. And then just broadly, the attack on people who are childless and saying that we ought to raise taxes on childless people and calling them cat ladies. I think he apologized to cats, but he hasn't apologized to women, right? So the thing that JD Vance was talking about with the cat ladies, it was absolutely hilarious. And he's so right. And I talked about them a lot this morning in the 6 o'clock hour of the Crazy Cat Ladies. These are racist women who are typically childless and they are rabid and they're angry with the world. They're the feminazis who were told a bill of goods and they were lied to. They said, hey, you're going to be a girl boss, you're going to be a career girly, and you're going to love your life. And they grow up and then they turn out to hate their life and they want to make everybody else miserable with them. And then they, host Zoom calls and, say that things like BIPOCs, Black, Indigenous, people of color, you can't disagree with them because it's racist, right? These are the types of women that JD Vance is talking about, and they are crazy cat ladies, and they're racist a lot of the time, and they're childless a lot of the time. Now, JD Vance, he, made a off comment about these women and called them crazy cat ladies. And it was funny. It was true. And J.B. Pritzker is coming out here and he's like, oh, he apologized to cats, but he hasn't apologized to women. This wasn't an attack on women. This was an attack. It wasn't even really an attack. This is just calling it for what it is. These women are angry. They're feminazis, and they want to bring you down because they feel down on themselves. It's classic bully mentality these women have. So J.B. Pritzker, he gets out there and he tries to burn J.D. Vance on this couch reference. The governor's remark about couches is in reference to wild social media rumors about the Ohio senator allegedly writing in his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, that he tried to simulate the act of sex using a rubber glove between couch cushions as a young man, which is just not true. If you were to read the book in his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, there is no such scene that exists. If you were to watch the movie, there is no such scene that exists in it. And as I said, the Associated Press came out with a fact check claim on this, and they said, no, J.D. Vance did not have sex with a couch. And they have since deleted that fact check. Reportedly, they could not find the claim in J.D. Vance's book. Then a different fact check, they couldn't find this claim in the book or this scene in the book that social media users are claiming happened in the book. It's just not true. The decision by Pritzker to tease the couch rumor is not new, but the progressive, they have been going after J.D. Vance for days. For days, they've been going after J.D. Vance. They call him Donald Trump Mini-Me, referring to a character from the Austin Powers movie. Remember Dr. Evil? And then he's got a mini-me. So they call J.D. Vance Mini-Me, which is kind of funny. I'll give the libs that. But come on. J.D. Vance, if you were to actually watch his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, you'll realize that this guy is actually really nice. He grew up in a chaotic home, like a lot of middle America, where, there's domestic abuse, sometimes drug abuse, and he overcame that. That's what the story is all about. He overcame his upbringing and his poor neighborhood and being in middle America. He learned a lot of things, and he used it in his time in his career in politics. So, JB, get out of here with your stupid, baseless rumors, and leftists. You guys are just so mean. Why are they? They're scared. That's really what it is. They're mean, they're scared, and they're coming after J.D. Vance because he is the future of the Republican Party, and I foresee in 2028 him running for president. That'd be pretty awesome. All right, you guys have a blessed day. We'll do it all again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Bye-bye. Love you.